Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday. Hope you're all having a good week, and we're back on DU Chats. So tonight we're going to have Chris on here, and hopefully we did a test the other day just as he was boarding a plane. So I'm going to send him a request, and hopefully we're going to get things to work. Last time we had Chris on, things didn't quite go to plan, and but luckily we had Jack from Custom Cars and Save the Day. He was actually supposed to be a guest towards the end of the show, but because we couldn't get Chris on, no matter how. Hey, Chris,
Look at this.
we've
Yeah.
done it.
Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
Well, do you know what? I don't know what the hell went wrong that couple of weeks ago, but it was just all over the shop.
Yeah. Yeah. That was crazy, wasn't it?
It was. And the good thing, the funny thing was when we sort of did a recap to just test it out ourselves. You were on a plane to somewhere. I don't know where that was. Was that the air hostess that was saying, "Get off the
Uh,
phone"?
yeah. Yeah. I was, I believe, in Los Angeles. Headed. We had been doing uh, on our glue pull repair system in Los Angeles, and so we just quickly did that test, and then the right when we were getting it figured out, the flight attendant came over and said I had to shut it off. So she made an appearance on your show too. So
Yeah, she
yeah,
did.
yeah,
I think she looked a bit bewildered there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
here we go, folks. Thanks very much for joining us. We've got Chris White from Keco, or Kiko. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it.
It's actually Keco. Yeah,
Kiko. All right, it's from Kiko. So,
yeah,
Chris, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself? How long you've been in the business, how it all came about,
yeah.
and sort of where you are now, really?
Absolutely. So, yeah, the Keco as a company has been in business since 1963. Gosh, we're a couple years away from 60 years in
Wow.
so and primarily for most of its life, it's been a plastics injection molded parts manufacturer. Not really a products manufacturing company, but a plastics component parts, injection molding component parts
Hmm.
manufacturer. And my background is that I am a plastics engineer by education. And so when I was ready to look for a job, and I guess to back up for just a moment, I got into plastics engineering for really one reason. When I was a small child and I learned what an entrepreneur meant was someone that had their own business. I had an uncle that had, or no, I'm sorry, a brother-in-law that had his own business, and I thought that was the coolest thing, and I wanted to have my own business, and so went to college in Pittsburgh, Kansas, small school. I was a business major for the first semester, and then I got to talking to people and realizing that there was a lot of business majors that were looking for jobs. And I thought, well, gosh, I really just want to own my own business. And I got to talking to people, and I realized that there was 100% placement in the plastics engineering program. And I thought, well, at least maybe I could be more assured that I can have a good, solid start. And so I switched my degree to plastics engineering, and then got the plastics engineering degree. Came to work for Keco in
Hmm.
Oklahoma City. It was a small company, so I thought, well, being able to be involved in a small company, I can do, wear a bunch of different hats.
Yeah.
It'll bring me, to a place where maybe I could have my own business, at some point, maybe a little bit closer. But thankfully, and by the grace of God, that the gentleman that owned the business at that time, he, I guess, promoted me to the point of being ahead of even his own son and daughter in the business.
Right.
When it came time to transition the business,
Yeah.
decided to sell it to me. And so I was, super thankful for that. So that's how I got involved in the business. And then most every company that does contract manufacturing just makes products for other people. It's always their goal to make their own products. And so about 11 years ago, I always get reflective around New Year's, get thankful for what's happened in the previous year, and you start thinking of and planning for the next year. And it's like, we can't just wait for a product idea to hit us over the head. We've got to be very purposeful about
Yeah.
being a products company. We're always just going to be a components manufacturing company if we don't get more purposeful about, hey, we make products. And so basically January, I always say January 1st, but and it's always, I'm not against holidays. I love holidays, but I love also New Year's. And so it always seems weird to me that everybody gets excited about a new year and then just says, let's take the day off. To me, it's like, let's hit the ground running, but
Yeah.
I don't get to make the rules. So January 2nd, I went to the office and I said, look, guys, we're a products company. And they said, well, we don't make anything. We just make parts for other people. And I said, well, until we decide we're a products company, we won't be one. And so we started making golf tees and different kinds of coffee cups and practice golf balls. And one of the gentlemen that worked for me, he had um, a son-in-law that was a paintless dent repair technician.
Right.
And
Okay.
um, brought him this little plastic tab, and he said, "Hey, these sell for a couple bucks. Maybe we could make these." And I said, "Well, I don't know anything about the industry, but that's that might be an interesting idea." And so I got to thinking about whether I had a connection or any kind of network that would help me understand paintless dent repair. And one of my other customers, we actually make parts of the construction stilts, the drywall stilts, the stilts that construction guys stand on to put
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
We make parts for that. And the
Right.
gentleman, that company, he was a customer and a friend. And he had told me in the past that his son made paintless dent repair tools. So that is a company called Dentcraft here in Oklahoma City where
Mm-hmm.
we, and the man's name that owned that at the time, and his wife still owns it today, is Sid Edmer, and Sid it was the son of my customer, and so anyway, my customer introduced me to his son, and his son really, decided to help me. I mean, I through and just as a call a side point of my story, Wayne, is that like everywhere that I go, like people talk about, building business and being self-made, but not me. Like everywhere I go, people just like help me, and like for no good reason other than maybe I asked for it,
Yeah.
get a lot of help. And Sid Emmert really helped me understand the paintless dent repair industry and understand these little plastic tabs. And ultimately, what we did was took what he knew and added what we knew about plastics, and we came up with a better plastic paintless dent repair glue pulling hail tab than anyone else. So that was 11 years ago, and then through the course of we thought, well, if we can do a small tab, why can't we do a big one? And
Yeah.
so a couple years later, we started making bigger tabs, and we thought we had the vision, though very cloudy, of making it into a collision repair system. And then I'm going to say 6 years ago, I would say maybe,
Mm-hmm.
got plugged in with a gentleman named Jonathan Van Fontaine in Brussels, Belgium, or outside of Brussels,
Right.
and Jonathan really had a much clearer vision of what we could become with regard to a full collision repair system. So he helped me again, helped me to be able to understand the collision industry and where the holes were,
Yeah.
and what might be possible. And so we've got engineers, and one of our strongest, our main design engineer was a gentleman by the name of Jerry Leopold, and Jerry and Jonathan worked closely together with me having some involvement, of course,
Yeah.
and we began to develop tools for the collision repair system that we have today. And so, now about, in 2018, we sat down and we decided we want to give this process a name, and we call it GPR, or glue pull repair. And
Yeah.
as we've it's just been since 2018 we have had a very clear objective that we were going to change how collision repair is done. We were going to ask collision repair technicians around the world to put down their stud gun and pick up a glue gun and perform the least invasive, best quality repair method that's available. And by and large, that's happening. It's happening in the United States. It's happening, all around the world. So, and it's, we're super thankful. And I'm thankful to have, at a place to get to know you, and that you have, like, understanding of our process and what we're trying to do. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we got to where we are.
Well, that's a brilliant story. I mean, that's, I think, pretty much covered most of everything I'd probably want to know. So, but it's amazing how it just sort of one thing led to another. The business at college wasn't going to be right. Then, so you entered into the plastics engineering, and just how it just sort of snowballed to where you are now. I think I heard about your company probably about 5 or 6 years ago, which marries up to when you said you sort of started moving into that a bit more.
Okay. Yes.
So that's when I heard about it. And then obviously it was, even then it was the Keco stuff were the tabs to get if you were going to be doing glue pulling. So right. If it was already strong there, it must be massive now.
Yeah.
So I've got a load of questions, if you don't mind me saying. Some of them you've actually answered already as we've gone along, which was, why did you see a marketplace in GPR, which you've obviously answered that. So do you think that with the electric cars coming onto the market now, it's becoming a stronger area, sort of, and all with aluminium panels, it's becoming more desirable?
Listen, of the aluminum panels, or
Yeah.
might say, right? That is I would call it the number one driver, because we have, clearly it is the least invasive, best quality way to fix a dent, because we're not doing damage. Welding, as I'm sure and most of the people, if not all the people that would watch your feed would know, does damage to the backside of the panel, burns off the e-coat, and that has to be replaced. And it's, even when you can reach it, it's just not the same quality as the OEM quality. And many times you can't reach it and put it back, properly. So really that's number one. And that's the same whether it's, steel or aluminum. But just the repairability of aluminum for welding, as you probably know better than me, is very difficult. Aluminum, rips and doesn't weld as well, and but with us, and of course aluminum's harder to move.
Yeah.
But we can move aluminum with our system, the same system, aluminum or steel, and we've saved, the bigger, the more invasive the potential repair is, the bigger the opportunity for glue pull repair to show its worth, right? So an aluminum damaged quarter panel that might have to get cut off is really a great opportunity. We've saved so many. Like, one time I was doing one of the first demonstrations that we did at a caliber shop in this is 4 years ago in Colorado. We didn't work on aluminum in the demonstration, but we told them, hey, we can work on aluminum. And before I left, I was waiting for my Uber to take me back to the airport, and they came, like in a rush. I thought, well, maybe I was in trouble, because about 4 people just converged on me from the shop, and they said, we've got a Range Rover out there, and it's damaged on a quarter panel, and we're going to have to send it to another shop because we don't have the tools to be able to cut that thing off. So can you fix it? And so we went out there and looked at it, and I said, I'm pretty sure we can. And I actually FaceTimed one of my guys to look at it with me, and we can fix it. And we stayed and fixed that car, and it was just a tremendous win for for really all the parties, in the fact that the shop won, the car owner won because his bill was a little bit less, and the insurance, right? So it was you don't get those win-win-win, that often, but we find ourselves in a situation where, it's a win-win-win many times around, right? So, first and foremost for the technician in the shop. So, yeah.
So have you actually, because you said that you helped save that panel and you're there. So this is something you've had to learn to do yourself. So you're actually doing some of the GPR yourself now, are you? And
Yes, yes.
yeah.
I am really not, a PDR technician. I can get close on some hail dense, as far as PDR goes, but I'm not a PDR technician. But
Hmm.
the beauty of glue pull repair is that, the process that we have that actually I took what I knew from our best technicians and I just created a process by it. And so, I actually wrote the process that we use with, and again, like it wasn't, nothing that I genesis in my own mind, but just watching best practice and turning that into a process. So, I've studied our process. I've studied what other technicians do. And so, yeah, I can do the work to rough it out, to get ready to fill and paint. And, that's really a great selling point for us is that, you know, all of the real panel beaters, all the real technicians out there, they know how to work metal way more than, business owners or sales guys and marketing guys like what we have in our company. But any one of us can go and train and get a technician at a level of where he can use glue pull repair in just a few hours. So it's a very it's not a steep learning curve at all. And as a matter of fact, first and foremost, what we've done with our process is we've just given it away. You can go to pull2paint.com right now,
Hmm.
and videos on the training process. You can go to kecotabs.com and you can see videos on our training process, and you can actually and if you engage with that and you're a technician, you'll have everything you need to be successful. So
And but you also offer as a course as well, don't you? I know you've got it in
right.
the UK. So if they buy the kit, there's a 1 day course. Because somebody following here, Kevin from I'm not even going to say Premier, and I keep getting it wrong. So he's from Premier, and he's actually looked into going up to TDN to do a training up there, and he was telling me about it. So, and that's all part of it. And from what I understood from Jack, because I spoke to Jack last week, a couple of weeks ago when he stood in, and he was saying that it was almost like a light switched on. So he had been doing some GPR and it wasn't working. He wasn't getting it quite right, and then all of a sudden, someone gave him those processes, helped him with it, and it just made things so much easier. And it's like literally like a light switch being turned on. And he could understand it, and he was getting much better pulls out of it.
Yeah, no, there's no question that um, you know the ability to learn online is there, and but our trainers, Gene Fetty, David Shalott, Danny Hacker, who we've just hired full time, which I want to talk more about Danny later and what
Okay.
he for us. But we bring the curriculum and we break it down. When we come in person or you come to us in person, then it is a little bit easier, of course, for guys to focus. I say it's the same material, but we deliver it with that personal touch, right? And that personal
Right.
touch, trying to connect. It's the here's how I look at it. When it's kind of like preaching and teaching. It can be the same message, but if you're preaching and really, a computer would kind of be like a preacher in the fact that like it's telling the message, right?
Mm.
But it's on the student to whether they listen or not. So that's what preaching is. But when you have in the way we think of our teaching and the way our guys connect, and we do it purposefully because we just believe in connecting with people. But guys like I said, Gene Fetty, Danny Hacker, David Shalott, guys that they take the responsibility of the learning, you know, on themselves. They want to make sure that student,
Yeah.
right, because they don't measure the success of teaching by whether or not they send out the message. They measure it by whether you get it or not, right? So if they're teaching you, Wayne, and you don't get it, they take that as a personal shot at them, right? I
I
mean,
understand that. I
right.
totally understand that. Yeah.
To me, that's what real teaching is. So,
Yeah.
when we come face to face, that's what we do, is we take the responsibility for whether you get it or not, right? So, and we do a really good job of that, and that's why I'm so proud of our guys, because our guys do it with really a great humility. I mean, they don't, in any way, talk down, and they just, they really want to connect and give confidence, to, whoever the student is. And anyway, that really speaks to me, because, we really are changing the industry for the better. Guys, when they feel good when they don't have to grind off the paint on a beautiful car, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, if your first step is, like, here's part of our presentation is we talk about, we kind of compare ourselves to, and compare our process, compare GPR to like a doctor, and a new doctor has to take what's called the Hippocratic Oath. And the Hippocratic Oath starts with, first, do no harm. And that's what we say, that with glue pull repair, different than any other way to repair a car. The first thing you do with stud welding, you just start grinding off paint and doing harm, and then you start welding. You're doing harm to the front side and harm to the back side, and then you start pulling, and because you're pulling on such a small area, you're distorting and you're doing more harm, right? So
Right. Yeah.
what we're doing is we just clean it, take care of it, and then we glue this big surface area, because Wayne, it's the surface area that is the key that
Hmm.
allows. Of course, we're not, per square inch, we're not nearly as strong as welding, but because, big dents go in with big surface area, we take them out with big surface area. And again, we do no harm to the front side of the panel. We do no harm to the back side of the panel. We have much more finesse, much more control over the dent, right? So anyway, yeah, yeah, I hope you can tell I'm pretty passionate about what
No,
we do.
no. Listen, I'm enjoying it. So I think everyone else is, but I certainly have.
Yeah.
But it's my chat show, so I'm allowed to anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so,
They're
but
just,
Chris, something that Jack said, and I couldn't quite understand it, and Specky's just mentioned it here as well. So he said what was a bit of a light switch on for him was that he, with a gas torch, warmed up the panel and took out the moisture out the panel, and that made a big difference. But I'm not. I, I can't understand that. I don't see how, if the panel is dry and everything, there's going to be a moisture. I can understand if you put the gas torch on there, you'd be warming the panel up. That would help with the glue not cooling down so quickly, etc. But I didn't quite understand the moisture and that stopping it from working. Is that something that's easily explainable today or now?
yeah, certainly, dew point, you're familiar with what the dew point of the air is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just raise that surface, and again, we're not changing the ambient air dew point to above, but if we raise that surface to above that dew point, then we're in effect blowing away that humidity. Now it's going to come back very quickly, but that's why we want to go to, like, 120 degrees or something. Particularly on aluminum, we might go to 120, 130, 140 on that surface, and then work quickly to be able to, the humidity's gone. The other part of warming up the panel is that you do more normalize the melted glue on your tab, and normalize the less shock, of course.
Hmm.
And we're not getting the panel to 300, 350 degrees like our glue melt is, but we
Yeah.
are getting it warm enough to take some of that shock away and all of the humidity. So in fact, the humidity is an issue, but it's also just that normalizing and taking away that shock. And we would warm up the tab as well. We would want to warm up that tab to around 100 degrees. And again, you know, that's and it becomes all the more critical with aluminum because the aluminum, transfers the heat, so quickly, and it just you as you warm it up, you need to kind of work quickly because it'll be back down to ambient, within
Yeah.
a couple of minutes, right? So yeah, that's the warming the panel, paying attention to temperature. That's and with glues, even one of the things that you might notice if you had some glue pulling experience and have followed PDR recommendations. There's a bunch of different types of glue, but
Yeah, I was going to come on to that as I've got some questions on that as well. Yeah.
yeah. But what's interesting is for us, we've approached it. There's a lot of glues that before we came along with our process. The common theme that you would hear among companies selling PDR glues would be, as your ambient temperature changes, you need to change your glue. And for us, we say, well, let's just approach it more like an experiment, more like a laboratory, and let's control that variable. Let's not, if we have cold ambient air, let's just warm up the panel and
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, and now we don't have. Now we can keep it simple,
Yeah.
and stay with one or two glues, right?
Yeah.
So
And the fact that you mentioned the dew point, as soon as you said that, that made sense to me totally because I've had to do some checks on my airline and dew point was part of that. And so I understand. And then when you said, because it's like you said, there's dew point in this room, there's dew point wherever we are. But
right,
if you can take it above that, even though you don't think there might be any moisture when you touch something, it's there.
that's right.
So
That's
yeah, totally
yeah.
understand that now. Thank you. And I hope the people watching. So your range is extensive,
Oh,
and you've given them some great names like Viper, Centipede, Black Eyes. How do you come up with the names and the designs of them? Well, the designs you've touched on that, so
yeah.
you've got some great guys, but
We wanted to come up with interesting names, and it's just something that it's. I would say that we've gotten better at marketing, in the few years, and we've got, first and foremost, my CEO Kenny. I mean, he is just a fantastic marketer, and then Brock Berkey that works underneath him is fantastic. But we always had in our mind that we wanted to create interesting looking products, cool looking products. We've noticed that in the world of tools, guys love tools and they want them to be cool, right?
yeah, oh, absolutely. It's the same as guns in the spray gun world.
So from day one when we started this, I wanted them to have cool names. I wanted them to look cool, and we've got, the running joke around, our place in marketing is, oh, well, what color is our blue? And we're like, well, we just claim blue. If it's like whatever it is, if there's a cool blue, it's a Keco blue. So all cool blue is Keco blue, and then you need a second color, and we like the way black looks with blue, and so the black and blue became our colors, and we've just got really cool looking tools that are well designed. We've had, I've been for a small company, we've had very good mechanical design engineers that have been able
Mm,
to put together some fantastic products. And, like with one of the more interesting things that I get to do now is make the rounds with some of the OEMs. And it's been a huge compliment to me for engineers that work for OEMs to look at our product and they say, "Wow, these are well designed, well
yeah,
engineered, great looking products." And anyway, for a small company like we are, we're super proud of that, super thankful for what we have, and then ultimately, guys like Brock Berkey and Kenny, I mean, they've really gone to work they saw us as kind of a diamond in the rough, and they've been telling the world about what we do, right? And so it's we've got a really strong team. Yeah.
I mean, I've not physically seen any of your products, but obviously doing the research from here, and then when I heard about you 5, 6 years, and just sort of watching things over the last few years, your products do look really smart and impressive.
Mm.
So, yep, hats off to you. Well done. What would you say? And some of these questions are coming from someone who's not got a lot of knowledge about it, so forgive me, but it's a question that someone might want to ask. What is the most important thing? The tap down, sorry, the actual tab or the glue?
Well, you know what?
I
That's
know
a
they work together, but would you
Yeah.
say there's one better than the other?
I would not.
No.
And that listen, this is a really important point. When we go to trade shows, when we were, at SEMA the last time there was an in-person SEMA, time and time again, people were coming, they were just blown away with what we could do. We're making big, massive dents in a door along a body line, and we're taking a centipede tab and pulling those up. But one of the cool demos that we do is on a real sharp crease, super
Mm.
sharp crease. We have what we call our dead center centipedes, and those dead center centipedes, are only about 7 mil wide and 6 inches long, and we can take a sharp crease and completely reverse it to a point. And people look at that and they think, wow, look at the control over you have of that metal. What kind of glue are you using? And I say, guys, listen, it's good glue, but it's not just about the glue.
Yeah.
It's about the fact that we have what we've learned is it's actually patent pending technology now, how in every tab, and I could talk about this stuff all day, but in every tab you have, the glue surface, but then really what governs the glue surface just hangs on, and then what governs the shape of the high spot is the back side of that tab, or kind of like the shaft or the center rim,
Right.
and that's what takes and pulls and makes a high.
That
And then
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, and then also you have to be able to control and make sure that you're pulling straight up and
Hmm.
holding it down. So we have feet on our lifters that would come
Yes.
very tight. We have what we call our crease killer system, where so that those feet come in very close, and they
Yep.
support and push down on the metal while we're reversing that. And so, though it does certainly start with the glue, it transitions into the tab and around to the feet. It's a system. What we have is a system, and that's we have competitors that have some tabs, and they have some glue, and they have some lifters, but they
Hmm.
just don't have this the system that all works together in the way that we have. And then we have processing training around it that goes hand in hand. So that's why I believe we're the leader, and that we have, the potential to be able to make glue pull repair commonplace and replace stud welding worldwide. So
Do you know, and I hope that absolutely happens.
yeah, yeah,
So, um, and then that actually brings us on to the glue. So thank you for answering that question because now I can understand it the way you do. Brilliant at describing this stuff. It's not that I'm not new to it because I've done it, but I've never understood the theory behind it. And so just, what goes on to make something work. So really, I'm getting a lot out of this. So thank you so much, Chris.
mm,
Um, now, so I thought, this is in fact, this is what I put in my question was I thought the tabs were one of the main things, and those were you needed to get the right tabs. But obviously not. But your tabs also have great names, and then your glues are on a whole different level. So you've got you've got the what have you got there? So you've got I've just lost my piece of paper. So you've got the Viper, the Centipede, and the Black Ice for your tabs. But then
mm,
your glues, you've got Jane Swiss, Hold PDR, Plain Jane Extreme, Tequila. Um, it's an absolute minefield. So I went onto your site and I tried, just researching it. I went through it and there was so much there. For someone who's new to this or relatively new, not new in the industry, but new to wanting to get into GPR, how would they know which ones to go for?
right, yeah, and that's because we both manufacture and distribute, we want to have a multitude of tools available, a multitude of, and part of the tools are the glues, for sure. But when we're, someone that's new, like you are, that's why we've put it together in a system, like our, look at our level 2 collision system, and in
Hmm.
our level 2 collision system, we only give you one glue. and that one glue is plenty enough. And so for a guy that's a collision guy and not a PDR guy, I would say just look for anything with the term collision in it, as the glue. And so we actually, the collision, the Cam Auto brand glue is what we put in the collision systems today, and it's a very strong glue, but it's also very flexible. And why that's important is when you're doing big dents,
Yep.
we like to do what we call a double action, where we're both lifting and knocking down at the same time. And sometimes that's with the feet that are pushing down on the high spot.
Hmm.
'Cause you always have even if you can't see it, you always have a high spot. Wherever there's a low, there's a corresponding high. So we're either going to push down with the feet, or we're going to knock down with a hammer. And again, another thing about our hammers, they respect the surface as well. We have either a highly polished metal tip that won't
Yep.
damage the panel when you hit it, or a plastic coating over the top of a metal tip that won't damage the panel either. So when you are knocking, actually hitting on the panel and trying to address those high spots, you need a glue that's very flexible, that will stay adhered and take that shock. And so that's where our collision glues really come into play, and are able to handle that shock, right? So though we sell a lot of glues, really you can stay to one, two, three of them, and use them very successfully within the system. We only provide two to the new collision system users, and really the reason for that is the collision Cam Auto brand would be one that could handle any dent, really. It's just
An
that
all-rounder.
yeah, it has a little longer set time,
Hmm.
because it is a bit more flexible. And then the only other glue that we give is a collision glue that is we call tab weld, and it's a faster setting glue. And so when you are doing a lot of like hail type damage, and really more of a this is probably more for PDR than body shop,
Yep.
but it matters that a quick setting glue will help you to be able to work a little bit faster. And a few seconds on the cure time when you're pulling maybe hundreds of dents matters, right? So that's.
Sure.
And then the other interesting thing is that the quicker setting a glue is, at, call it, what we suggest a temperature of somewhere between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, for pulling. Once you get above that 85 degrees Fahrenheit for pulling, now you have to be careful that the glue's not too hot. And so, like, really, when you get to, like, say 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the quick setting glues, maybe, the long setting glues take almost too long to set, and the
Hmm.
quick glues tend to act more like the long setting glues at, like, say 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Once you get much above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, now you have to start doing the opposite of what you're doing at cold temperatures. You got to start cooling your panel, to be able to get the glue to set up and get a proper pull. So
Get the strength on it.
yeah.
So uh, that leads me nicely onto glue guns.
Hmm.
And temperature of glue guns. Again, you've got a great range of glue guns. You've got wired, cordless, rechargeable. You've got no gas glue guns on there, or butane guns. And then I see that there's some guys who like that. Is there a reason why you've chosen not to go with that? Do you find them not as reliable?
To be honest with you, Wayne, we just haven't gotten. It's doesn't butane doesn't seem to be something that we run into often in the States. It's something that you run into more often in the UK, and different parts of the world. But that's an area where we probably will continue to expand our line. To be
Hmm.
with you, we've got to, a glue gun is certainly, we've gotten to the place where delivering the proper amount of glue for these bigger tabs is an issue, and so over time we probably will even go to larger um, glue guns, bigger reservoirs, more commercial, type units, because as it becomes more commonplace to fix more and more large damage, the sticks are really great to use. I mean, they're just really easy and great to use. But over time, probably go to some more robust sizes of sticks or pellets and or those type of things. So, yeah,
Okay, so something to watch out for.
yeah,
Is there a gun that if somebody was looking and they quickly popped over to your page, is there one particular gun that they should just check out if they're considering getting a glue gun? Is there one
yeah,
you've got on the top of your head?
yeah. I just think our standard gun that comes in our kits is great because it's an adjustable temperature gun. It's very affordable.
Hmm.
It's got a nice large reservoir. It's got 300 watts of power, and it's a plug-in gun. But guess what? I mean, cords are maybe a little bit of a nuisance, but charging batteries becomes a little bit of a nuisance too. And sometimes you just don't notice when your charge is going down and you get a bad pull and you realize, oh, I'm losing some of my heat, right? But
Yeah.
electricity, is just more reliable over time. So if you can deal with the nuisance of a cord, I like the corded, 300 watt, adjustable temperature glue gun. Yeah,
Is that on a 110 and a 240 volt, or is
yeah,
there both options are available there?
both are available. Yes.
Okay, thank you
Yep.
very much.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
so yeah, go on.
I was just wondering, I know Kevin's watching, so I don't know if it would be possible to bring him on since to talk about TDN for a moment with being,
Is he there? Do we know what his username is? Because I don't know his username.
okay.
So I can't invite him. If he's there, he could. If you press the camera, Kevin, on the bottom of the screen next to the comments, you should be able to send me a request to join. So, or do you know what his username is, Chris?
Well, honestly, this is you're getting to peer a little bit into how I do things sometimes. I'm sure I panicked Kevin because I didn't give him any notice. There he
I've
is.
got it. I've got it. All right,
Kevin, Kevin
let me.
Andrews, 5431. Yep.
Okay, hold on, just because I can't see
Yeah.
that now. So Kevin Andrews, yeah, 5431. Okay, this didn't work last week to send someone else to join us, so I'm not sure if it's going to work now. I've sent him a request. Let's hope he can pick that up. Whilst we're waiting for him to pick that up, let's chat about some of your kits.
Sure.
So your kits start from the starter kit, and I'm not quite sure if it's the same prices in the UK, from as low as sort of $199, so just $200, let's say,
Hmm.
and go as high as sort of just under $6,000 that's for the level 2 that you mentioned to me. What sort of repairs would you be expecting a shop that has that kind of kit to put out?
Right. So here's the largest kit you spoke about is we basically have our level 2 kit that is our level 2 system that is $39.99 dollars wise. So and that with a day of training becomes that $59.99. So a day of training along with that, but what is possible with the level 2 that isn't possible really with any of the other systems. So the $39.99 system is a system that grows with you, is what I would say. So it meets you wherever you are. So whatever your starting place is, and we'll just talk about collision technicians because I think that's most of your audience. But wherever you are as a collision technician, this is the system that you can start with because it will give you the ability to rough out very quickly. Once you understand the process, you can rough out and be able to very quickly get to a place where you can and with very good quality, doing no harm to the front side, doing no harm to the back side, you can get to a place where you can fill it and paint it. But what happens with also all those tools you can continue to get the panel flatter and flatter toward a paintless dent repair. And so this may get a little bit technical, but I like to think of it as a continuum where, basically, an XY axis, right? And so the X axis is like down here at the origin is like rough out, kind of cave and pave is what we would say in the States. And
Hmm.
over here, at the other extreme is, a full paintless vent repair. And then, on the y-axis, low skill level, like you're just learning the system. And then, up here is a higher skill level, like a paintless dent repair technician would have. And then we just draw a line and we call that the GPR continuum. And we say that, you with this same system, you can rough out and very quickly with a very low skill set and be able to perform the best quality repair possible today. And then as you continue to understand more finesse of being able to work those lows and work those highs and read your lighting, again,
Yeah.
lighting is so key here because you just simply cannot fix what you cannot see. And so, but it is a higher skill level to be able to understand, where the very dead center of those lows are and the
Hmm.
very center of those high spots. And then once you can see that with your light, now we give you more finesse and detailed tools to be able to address those. And then as you do that, you can actually get to up this continuum to more of a closer to a full paintless dent repair. So that system is really that level 2 system, the 39.99. I would highly recommend to any shop because it grows with you. Now, for if we definitely have some more starter type systems for people, really more for technicians than shops, in my mind, to be able to get introduced, without having to spend, quite that amount of money. So
Yeah. And the kits, I mean, they look really good, and I totally understand your concept behind that. If you've got the right kit to start off with, you can improve it, you can grow into it. So that makes total sense. Kevin, Chris, I don't know whether it's because you're in the States, we're in the UK, and whether the States don't allow, for loss of another word, a threesome. But I can't find any other word. But for some reason, I can't seem to. I can get three people on here to chat when we're in the UK, but I can't seem to get anyone when I'm talking to someone from the States. So I'm really sorry about that, Kevin. Maybe we can do I could do a chat with Kevin in a couple of weeks, or the next free space I've got, get him on here as well.
that
Um,
would that would be awesome, and
yeah.
yeah, I think that would be great because guess what? The Kevin and the group at TDN Tools and Training, they do such a fantastic job of representing Keco and representing who what Keco is about, and and they have those guys are really great at both customer service, tools distribution, tool sales, and training. Really, they are I think world leaders in training, and that's why we've decided to partner with them in training endeavors in the UK and Ireland,
Hmm.
other parts of Europe, and to be honest, we're working on programs, with them here in the States, and so that's why I wanted to bring Kevin, and you know, and also, gosh, here I am with this Southern U.S. accent, and like if we had Kevin on here, he'd have just the proper UK accent, and he'd make us sound much more intelligent and capable. So yeah, you should absolutely have him on very
Well,
soon.
that's easy for someone to do that for me. Make me sound not make me sound be more intelligent than me. Yeah. So Kevin, if you just want to DM me your telephone number, I'll give you a call tomorrow, and we can touch base on that. So that would be great. So then let's because we've only got, believe it or not, we've only got sort of 10 minutes left. So
Wow,
let's
on the
yeah,
bit.
I know. And there's so many. I've still got about 6 or 7 pieces of paper to ask you. So we might have to do this again later as well.
I'm I'm open, brother. Yeah.
In your smaller kits, in fact, I got a couple here. Keco Robo Mini Knits Lifter Hill. Yeah. No, in your smaller kits, there's no slide hammer with that, except in the cold glue kit. Is there any particular reason you didn't include a slide hammer with that, and you put like the mini lifter instead?
Yeah, so that's really a great question on this. So you're talking about the like the Robo Lifter kit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So The simple answer to that is that a slide hammer, though we do have a slide hammer that I think is a bit different, and we can talk about that in a minute. But generally, it's a very aggressive tool. It's a tool that, though quick to use, you can very easily exert too much force and over pull. Right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, I'm going to give you a fundamental here, and the fundamental is that it is much easier to pull up the low in a dent than it is to knock down cleanly the high spot, right? Fundamentally, it's, as we teach students, it's much easier to teach them how to pull up the low than it is to knock down the corresponding high. And so if we get too aggressive with a tab and we reverse it and create a big high spot, now we've created a lot of work for ourselves. We've actually done what we don't really like to do, which is in a way create harm in order to fix, the dent, right? And so
makes total sense.
Yes, and so, and our slide hammer, what we did with it is, we did a couple things. We put a nice soft touch handle on it to where, when you pull that, when you grab hold of that thing and pull on it, it's a little bit less shocking to your wrist and arm. And then with our slide hammer also, it has a spring on the back side. If you look at our slide hammer, you'll see that it has a spring on the back side. And when you loosen that spring, you get more of a dead pull, more of a finesse sort of a pull. Have more finesse and control over the metal. So that's what we've done with our slide hammer, and that's why the slide hammer is now in the larger systems. So we've actually moved away from calling them kits anymore. We call them systems, because
systems. Okay.
Yeah, and because it's because it really is a system. We want people to know how it's modular and how it's a system and how we have this. And we go from roughing out to to a flat metal finish, sort of a panel, right? So but yeah, that is the reason why we don't have the slide hammers in the smaller system, because the robo, the robo, which is a mini lifter is what it's generally called, you can snap if you want to, but really by squeezing that handle and massaging the low, you can stop short of over pulling, right? I would rather a new technician pull and re-pull 2 or 3 times trying to get close to perfect than over pull and then have a lot of work and knocking down, and because it's just harder to learn. It's you can learn it, but it is harder to learn.
It is harder, and you never knock it down perfectly either, because you're always knocking in the wrong place. You're knocking in, it's not so straight. So Kev from Premier Car Care and Specky, they said, are you familiar with the term smart repairs?
Yes.
So that's what I do, and a lot of the guys who follow me. So they said what would be nice to see is a smart repair kit, a smart repair system, maybe. But then I think you've kind of got that anyway. Looking at the systems on your site, I think they're there. They just need maybe 1 or 2 pieces need to be added to it. So I think, Kev, it's definitely in the States. Maybe it's not transferred over to the UK TDN yet. So that's something we can talk about. Now look, we've got 6. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say part of that is largely terminology, but really that's a great point, an astute point that you've made, in the fact that we need to market better to smart repair, because it is not just in the UK, but certainly in Europe and other parts of the world. Smart repair is something that is well understood and becoming better understood in the States, but the States we're really behind when it comes to the term smart repair. So we will absolutely, you've helped us today. We'll absolutely put some effort into putting systems in around smart repair. So
because we actually get crucified, smart repairs, because for us, we're all about saving as much of the original paintwork as possible. So when we do our blends and we keep our repairs really small, we're doing what you're doing with the glue pulling. But if I tend to find that if I'm ever going to get slated, it comes from the US. And it's like, what are you doing? That's a hack job. You can't do that kind of repair. You've got to go all the way down. And it's just a different technology. It's what you've embraced. with your glue pulling and you're educating people on. And I feel it's the same for us. I mean, it is slightly different. Look, we've got only a few minutes, but I don't want to lose our chat because it's been so informative. You wanted to talk about somebody. Do you want to go back and speak about him? I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, Danny Hacker. Yeah, so we have just hired Danny Hacker, who he's pretty known on Facebook, and as a really just an excellent. He was out and lived in Tennessee. Danny's a super solid, Christian man, got 5 little kids, and he's just picked up his family and moved them to Oklahoma to join us. And Danny is going to do such a great job of being able to demonstrate and train and sell our systems, to our technicians. And Danny's actually going to be creating content in our shop weekly. So, look out on the Keco Dent Repair Facebook, and also on our Keco Dent Repair Instagram. We're going to have weekly sessions with Danny in the shop. And Danny's, he was known so well on Instagram and Facebook because he's such a great technician. I mean, like just an absolute craftsman. I mean, people, I always laugh because everybody puts plastic over when they take the doors off. Everybody puts plastic over the door opening so that they don't overspray or whatever. But when Danny does it, it's like it becomes like a bass drum. It's so tight, and so like it's just we couldn't be more excited about having a guy like him that's a great craftsman that learned our trade, learned glue pull repair, and then sort of he fell in love with what we were doing and wanted to come join us. And he's picked up his family and moved to Oklahoma, and he's going to really help us to connect day by day with our technicians and sell systems and support systems. And yeah, so I just
So can we do this then, Chris? Can we say in about a month's time or a month and a half, 2 months time, when Danny settled in, we could have you and Danny over there,
Yeah.
and me over here. We can do a chat again, because if we're working off your device, we can have 2 of you sitting next to each other.
Awesome.
We can, yeah,
yeah,
let's
awesome.
do that. That would be great. Okay, right. I just don't want to lose this chat. Couple of quick questions.
Hey,
Yeah,
say one thing.
yeah.
Look for a huge announcement, hopefully as soon as tomorrow, from us.
Really?
I was
Okay.
really it'd be done and announced by the time I came on your show. It would have probably derailed the whole thing, but we have a huge announcement coming probably tomorrow that will be really just great news for glue pull repair and Keco throughout the world, international.
Okay.
So
Well, when you announce it, can you tag me and then I'll share it and get it out there as well? That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I'm gonna have to save these questions for next time.
Okay.
So my last question to you is, and I ask this to everyone, is do you have a tip that you can leave us with for now, and then we'll catch up again later? So a tip that you could pass on to anybody out there.
Yeah, I would say that, gosh, glue pull repair is just 100%, the future, right? It is the future. It's the present and the future of collision repair. It is the least invasive, best quality way to fix a dent. When I go to industry conferences throughout the world, and there's so much complexity in an automobile, and being invasive in all that electronics and equipment is just becoming almost impossible with the EVs and all these ADAS systems and things. So I mean, you just must learn glue pull repair, because it's going to allow you to extend your ability to be in the collision repair space, is what I would say. So
Well, you've made me feel a lot more passionate about it, and that's for sure.
yeah.
So I'm going to switch us off now. I would just like to thank you so much, Chris, for coming back. I know we tried before and it failed, but we've done it this time, and I really look forward to speaking with Kevin Andrews as well. I'll touch base with him, and then having you and Danny back on again, and just like chewing the cud again.
Yeah, we love it. Now, thank you. I love your show, Wayne. I really do. I mean, you just do such a great job of connecting with your guests, and you just get really involved, and I appreciate that. So,
Well, I got to be. I'm really selfish about it because I love my guests and I just love learning new stuff. So even if no one else was watching, I would be having a whale of a time. So thank you, and you guys make it. So have a lovely evening. I look forward to the huge announcement, and I'll catch up with you just after this. I'll just give you a quick buzz. All right,
okay.
everyone who joined us tonight, thank you so much, and we'll see you for the next DU chat. Have a good evening.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye bye.